Welcome to Marvel Champions Podcast, a podcast about Marvel Champions, the card game. I'm your host, Scott, and with me, as always, my co-host, Ryan.
As always, I'm here.
Well, Ryan, we had some fun games this past couple weeks. And
I would say so, or at least attempted games.
we had one attempted game and another successful game. And I think it's time that we have another installment of our Champion Checkup.
Champion Checkup.
Do you want to set up kind of what we did, who we played against?
Sure. So we are Champion Checkup. First off, is mostly about us trying to take a check back on the older heroes and villains, and just see how they are with the updated card pool and see if they still match up with the heroes and villains that are coming out, and just kind of enjoying the game as a whole instead of just focusing on new stuff. So this time we chose to do Green Goblin. Oh man, my head just went blank there.
I'll help you out. Mutagen
Formula. Yep, Mutagen Formula. And I took on the role of Spider-Man, Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm. And I went as the God of Thunder, Thor.
And we both picked these. And when we did this first game, I don't think we took our own advice. Well, my own advice from one of our Tip the Player episodes of understanding the scenario and making sure to plan accordingly, because we did not, and we failed.
Yeah, trying to play to a hero's strengths and sometimes trying to make up the difference with their deficit doesn't work.
Yeah, we just didn't think this one through as well as we should have. So for Spider-Man, I played Protection, and you played Justice Thor, kind of playing against type for Thor. Protection kind of fits Spider-Man for a lot of people like him in Protection. He's got the high defense, and he wants the card draw from the villain. But it did not work for Green Goblin, because he just... Oh, I should mention that we made it harder. We added, what was it? Sinister Syndicate to his pool, which increased his minions. So we were popping out minions nonstop, and we just got overran with minions. We couldn't take him out fast enough. And then the Thor was killing us. We got all the side schemes. And
yeah, and we had a couple of the side schemes that really boost him and the minions, and we just couldn't get things called Goblin Nation, and it gives everybody a minion that's a goblin a +1 attack, and we got overran because we're down the road, and we had to make a decision on, do we try and kill everybody or the minions in front of us, or do we try and thwart it down and hopefully survive? And it was not good.
Yeah. We quickly realized that we just did not prepare accurately with the heroes we had versus the villain that we were facing. I know we wanted the minions, but it just didn't work.
Yeah. I had that first game, I tried to do a Justice aerial build with Thor, and I didn't play all your stereotypical Justice for Justice side scheme, kind of split the thwart capability cards, do one here, do one there, do this, draw a card. I didn't go that route at all. And
my Protection wasn't much better in a game where we needed to do more damage output thwart output. I was protection, wanting to be attacked, and it just didn't bode well with the scenario.
Yeah. So we failed miserably.
Yeah, we didn't get. I think we beat him up a little bit, but we eventually. I think you ended up
I'm the one who
dying,
died.
and I wasn't far behind.
And we kept getting like Monster and that other big goblin that kept coming out, and yeah, it was bad.
Needless to say, we tried again.
Yes. So we licked our wounds and regrouped.
Yep. Adjusted some decks. Adjusted some aspects. Same villains, same heroes. I did Spider-Man Justice this time.
Ooh. And I did Thor Aggression.
Which definitely kind of plays in the mold of what they... Didn't Thor come in... Yeah, he came with aggression, right?
Yeah, he came with your mean swing. He introduced mean swing and...
yes.
Yarn bajarn.
And Green Goblin put up a fight, but we definitely... I felt like we had a lot more control over the game.
I think so, too. We had a very similar kind of flow from the first game. We got a lot of minions out really early. The side schemes weren't as bad, but I felt like we didn't really like even touch Green Goblin till like halfway through the game.
Yeah, we had to weed through all these minions first. But once we got that under control, it became... We took him out pretty quick.
Yeah, once we got rolling, I forgot how like fun Thor can be, and just like mowing people down.
Yeah, I mean that's his design, right? He wants minions out to decimate them and benefit from it. Yeah. So I will say in that game, Mutagen Formula is probably out of that first cycle, the core box and that initial release of heroes. He might be one of the hardest, or maybe the hardest villain that came out.
Yeah, he can hit hard. I would say that his maybe like his slightest weakness is he's not big into thwarting. The other thing is he introduced some of those like if you're damaged, do something mechanics, which I guess that's kind of makes up some of his scheming. Because I think it's if he damages you or a hero or something to that effect, put one on the main scheme.
Yep.
But with how many minions he comes out, he starts with minions out and setup. If you play whatever his other one is, I think it gives him a bunch of attachments. He just has a lot going on, and it really feels like he's trying to spread you thin to where you just either get overrun, you run out of time, you cycle the deck too much. A lot of his like side schemes when you defeat, you've got to discard cards, and if you get a minion, you can either bring it out, which adds more, or deal damage to yourself. And then he's got even like treachery cards that do the same thing.
He heals.
Yeah. He was one of the first ones that introduced being attacked in alter ego too. So there's a card that he attacks you, and you don't get a boost card with it, but still, being attacked in alter ego is always kind of troublesome.
Yeah. He is absolutely a challenge, and his minions, they're like awkward health. So they got a 3, which isn't too bad, but then there's a 5. And it always feels like you can't just take them out in one shot. You've got to get them to the health you need to take them out with a card. which is very frustrating. When we played that first game, he got those side schemes out, and they were brutal on us. Like you mentioned, the Goblin Nation was nasty, and I think we learned from that experience. So in the second game, when those came out, we were more prepared to just get rid of them, because he just wore us out, just constantly just wearing down our health, where we'd have to flip, and then he would scheme.
Right. And to go back to something you said about the awkward healths of the minions, up until that point of the game, I think nobody had a 3 basic attack. So you could never do a basic attack to kill these guys. You were always wasting like a big attack on the minion, which takes it away from the villain, or you were having to do multiple rounds, which leaves them out. They get their chance to activate during the villain turn, and it just adds to the misery of the villain turn.
I think She-Hulk was the only one with a 3 attack.
Because she could get boosted by one of her cards. Isn't she a 2 or is she a 3 base?
No, she's a 1/3/2.
Oh, okay.
So she's one.
All right.
But
and I mean, she does have that one card that does 1 damage to everything for like some crazy cost. It's like the worst card in the game.
It's one of the most disappointing cards. It's one of those that you're like, yeah, this is a great card if you're playing Ultron and swarmed by Ultron drones, but other than that, it's a mental resource. But yeah, I think overall as a villain, I think he was one of the harder ones, but I think he was a good solid villain that we needed at that time. I personally think Green Goblin's been one of the best villain packs that has come out. Now there's been several that have come out that have done very well, like Kang. Really like Kang. I don't know if you would consider Mojo, because he kind of has like a mini campaign in him as like a villain, but I think he was really good to have at the beginning of the game in that first cycle.
Yeah. His scenario pack, whatever it's officially called, to me is probably one of the like best value. Like if I had to buy one, and I guess you kind of said it, Mojo may rival it because it introduced something new. But see, the problem with the Mojo one is they're limited to like X amount of cards for the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at all the scenarios of Mojo, there's only like 12 cards in each of those. And everything else is all the encounter sets. But I feel like Mutagen Formula and Risky Business were good enough to play so different, add new mechanics. You just get 2 widely different experiences.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those. If someone was getting to the hobby, I would say you should get this one. This is a good one to get.
Right. Most bang for your buck. Get this one.
Yeah. So let's talk about these heroes, because I have a lot to say about Spider-Man. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I don't think I have like as much. Probably you do. So I started Justice, Ariel, and then that second game I went Aggression, and I focused on Aggression Thwart. So I played a lot of like Into the Phrase. That one you deal, I think it's 6 to a minion. Mm-hmm. Any of the excess damage goes to the main scheme as threat removal. Yeah, benefited from that pretty well. I played a few copies of Chase Them Down. Like we talked about with those weird minion health, Thor's nice because he gets his hammer out. He's a 3 attack at that point. He can take care of the goblin thralls pretty easy. So smack him in the head, chase him down, get rid of it pretty good. I'm trying to think of the other kind of gimmicky thing I
The,
did.
the two cards that I saw you use several times were some basic cards that have been added later. One is limitless strength. So his health has to be, your hero has to be 14 and up.
Yep.
And you get to ready.
Yeah, I used both those that came in the SPDR kit. Limitless strength and whatever the Hulk one that makes you steady.
Godlike.
Oh, yeah.
Godlike stamina?
No, I did use that one too. Godlike Stam is the Thor Asgard one.
The Asgard one. That was the
Yeah.
other one I was talking about. And that one's also really good with him.
Yeah, that
I
was
mean,
good because,
it's one of the few heroes that can do it, as in, like,
yeah.
he's the other one, other than Valkyrie.
So that one was good because it let me stay up longer, take some damage. It heals 2 and removes a status card.
Mm-hmm.
The other one let me ready for 1, and then being steady was nice because there's a couple of the bad guys. Shocker, man, when we played this, Sinister Syndicate was in there. Shocker, every time you attack him, he stuns whoever attacks him, and it got really annoying. But it was nice being steady because I knew I could at least punch most of his health off the first time, and then do it again. Then I would really be stunned with the 2 cards being steady. But then I could use that godlike stamina and heal and remove the stun, which was nice. What was the other stuff from his kit? Super early game key card for him is his Asgard.
Mm-hmm. You had that for both games, I believe.
I got it out early both games, and it makes the world of a difference because when you're limited to 4 hand size and you don't have any setup, it's rough. And his like main hammer throw is I think 3, and then his lightning strikes, his 2 big damage output cards. The lightning strikes like to have, it's pay X lightning, do X damage to everybody engaged with you in the villain. If I'm going to be using it, I want to hit hard. I want 3 or 4 or more. And when you have a total of 4 cards in your hand and you don't have anything set up, it's pretty useless.
Yeah.
But I was able to get him kind of built out pretty quick. His 2 lightning resource generators were really good. I got a Quinn Carrier out. I got a Martial Prowess out. I got a Depth Focus out. So there was times where I was just rolling with resources. And looking back at my early Thor plays, I never felt like he had that. His economy was a little bit of a struggle, but this bigger card pool was definitely a big benefit for Thor. I would say my 2 favorite things, his other little gimmick niche thing he does is you get engaged with a minion and you get to draw cards in hero form. And I was able to do that a lot and trying to maximize doing that in the player phase and the villain phase. Trying to get the encounter card to be a minion, which we kind of had the deck roughly stacked. And then playing like Angela was key. She could go fetch the villain or the minion for me in hero phase. The first game I felt like his Defenders of the Nine Realms just like either didn't get him or they didn't hit. Something weird
made
like
it
that.
Worse.
Yeah. But this one I felt like it worked. I was able to remove 3. I was able to contribute a little bit to thwart. I still felt like his thwart was is still his weakness. But I think if you can play with somebody, not solo, he's definitely able to kind of contribute a little bit, but definitely do what he does, and that is damage output. It was fun throwing the hammer through minions, getting the overkill, doing huge lightning strikes. I think one of my ones right at the end was like an 8 lightning strike.
Yeah, you threw everything in it to take it out.
Yeah, I had an energy. I think I had both his things, and I think I had like 2 or 3 cards in my hand that had it. So it was like, just the Italian kiss. It's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I think the designers learned a lot from Thor and Hulk, and just
Yeah,
how the community responds to them. Um, because I know people like Thor, but I've seen several times where people are just struggling with him, and it could be because they're playing true solo. Um, but I think the expanded card pool has opened up possibilities to make him more feasible in whether it's with other players or by yourself. And it really is something you can deck build with now. Like you did, you focus on aggression, but thwart aggression.
yep.
And you were able to do a lot of damage output, but at the same time, you were able to do some thwart when you needed to. Um, and I think having Angela out there with it was nice. I think you had, what was it? Is it I want to call it Rainbow Bridge.
That his Asgard. That's his +1 hand
No,
size card.
what what's the
Is there a different one?
oh shoot, what's the basic one that gets the ally?
Oh, the Bifrost.
Bifrost. Thank you. That was a good combo to just, if you need a minion to get that card draw, you could just boom get that. And if Angela's in the discard, you just pull her out. Boom, you're getting a minion, you're getting a card draw, and you have an ally out.
Yeah, that was a good little combo because but I don't think she could come out for free, but I don't think I think her ability or her text on her card say you have to be played from your hand. So I don't think I ever did that.
Oh, I didn't know if you ever did that or not, but that was the way that I
I
thought you
pulled
were
out, I think,
using it as.
Throg. I played Throg because I did want to have all those minions in front of me. He gets a tough if you're engaged with a minion, so he was a beneficial, and some of his
Mm,
passive stuff really worked for me. I
yeah.
think the two
Well,
other things I would say about Thor is
mm-hmm.
he's a hero that's fun to play, but I probably wouldn't grab him if I was trying to be like serious hardcore campaign solo. I would maybe do a campaign like a fun kind of casual campaign, and then his signature ally Sif is so expensive, and I don't know why.
Yeah, she
She's like a two
easily should
two
be a 3.
three, and all she does is ready you.
Yeah, she should be 3 cost for sure.
Yeah, the 4 cost she got tossed tons of times.
Yeah, I think you might have pulled her out at the very end, but that was just for fun more than actually like
Yeah,
strategy.
yeah. I think I did that, and I thwarted like one with myself with the ready. So I was letting
Yeah,
you deal that final blow. Being Spider-Man and Green Goblin, it was only right.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was impressed. Yeah, with Thor, you did a good job with his deck. I thought he contributed what he needed to do, and if you needed to do something that you normally don't, like thwarting, there were ways for you to assist with that. And so I thought the setup this time for Thor was good, and I think he's still a hero that people can revisit and do well with, and in these newer villains for sure.
Yeah, I would agree. He's one that is worth a revisit with the current card pool if you've got most of the card pool.
Yeah. He definitely relies on being set up. If you have any struggle with it being set up with him, it's going to be a harder game though.
Yeah, and it can cause a little frustration for sure.
Yeah. But well,
But why
awesome.
don't you tell us about everybody's favorite friendly
Wallcrawler.
neighborhood
Huh.
Spider-Man?
It's, Spider-Man.
I'm Spider-Man.
I'm Spider-Man. So I have to admit, um, I am.
Don't you do it, Ryan.
I'm probably a little jaded on Spider-Man. So Spider-Man is definitely one of my favorite Marvel characters. I grew up watching the old Spider-Man cartoon. Not like the super old one, like the 90s one.
Spider-Man
Where
and
he,
His Amazing Friends.
no,
For
not
like
that
the
one. Not with Iceman and Firestorm, I think it
yeah,
was. I did watch that though. I will say that.
yeah,
But no, the classic one that
the
had like
'90s
the giant
animated.
spider robots
Yeah, the
and
Spider Slayers.
the the spider slayers, and then
Mm.
the episode where he turns into like this giant spider, and oh man, that whole series was so good. That's the one where he like screams like Mary
Mary
Jane.
Jane. Mary Jane. Yeah, classic.
So good, and of course it has some of my favorite cartoon episodes of where he plays like, I don't know, uh, universe chess, where he gets to choose the heroes that he's like in a game with, and he
They
gets like
adapt
Captain
the like
America.
Secret Wars storyline. Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of like Secret Wars, and that was pretty awesome. And then of course his alternate Spider-Mans. There's another version with he has a bunch of those, so that was really good. I remember that.
when he goes into
Um,
the real world and meets Stanley.
oh, I don't remember that one.
That's like the very end of that Secret Wars saga. Because there's the one Spider-Man who's just like an actor. And he's like, "How did I get you? You're not even like a real Spider-Man. You just play one on TV." Yeah,
um, so yeah, I love Spider-Man, and I think I played. I think he might have been my first hero I ever played, and ever since then, and the many times I've played him, I just have not been able to enjoy him. I know a lot of people like him. This is probably people are going to hate this, but he has so many good cards, but I feel like they don't synergize for him. They're just a bunch of good cards that they smush together like an all-star team. It's a bunch of the best cards, but they just smush together and they just don't really mesh right. Um, and that's just the way I feel. I mean, I can go super in depth if you want me to on just my issues with his design as a whole. Um, but I will say that the game I played with him, the Justice build, it went pretty good. I didn't hate it. He the way I designed the deck was to be able to just soak up damage and prepare to flip down, heal practically instantly with Aunt May, and flip back and just be ready to go. Confusing on the way, keeping the threat down by using um, uh, what are they called?
you
What's
gotta
what's the
be a
two
little more
cards I'm thinking
specific
of?
for me. So I noticed you played. You kind of did a one way or another for card draw, which
I did do
got
that.
you
That's one of my
side schemes
favorite
out,
cards.
and then
Yeah.
you really focused using multitasking and
Yes.
the one with rescue on it.
Um, that's what I'm saying. I know the card. I use it all the time.
Yeah. What is that
It's
one?
like rescue. Okay. We're gonna figure this out.
Let's
All right.
see. Who did that come in?
I'm just gonna pull the deck out. Here we go.
Oh, you got your deck list there?
Clear the area. Thank you.
Yeah, that's it. Because
So
you did
yeah,
a
I
clear the
use
area and you had a skilled investigator, which was always a good little combo.
yes. So I did do the skilled investigator and clear the area combo, and then I threw out operative skill, which
Yeah.
is the card that came out with Gambit, which when you thwart, you can remove a token and it adds one to the thwart. And I ended up not using it a whole lot because I like held on to it for the right time, and I probably shouldn't have. But basically, because it adds one thwart, that thwart removes one additional thwart, is what the card says. So for like multitasking, I can do two threat use that card to make it 3 threat, and then because of its ability, I could potentially remove another 3 threat. And so that doing that was a good combo to keep everything in line where I needed it to be.
I think it also helped you like clear the area because there's a couple times where there was like 3 on it, and clear the area in order to really like benefit from it. You got to remove all, and
Yeah.
I think it just does 2. So
Yeah. So I was able to really maintain the thwart with just those 2 cards. They're not expensive. But they don't do tons of thwart. But because of their abilities, it created opportunities to remove more thwart down the road.
yeah.
The other thing is I used Ingenuity, which is the resource card for geniuses. So I did pull that out, and I also used the combo of Moon Girl, who is a champion, but you can only play her if you're a champion or a genius. So I would be in my alter ego, Genius Peter Parker, and then play her, and he has his free science resource plus that ingenuity, plus if a card in my hand that has the mental resource, and boom, I throw her down for 3 costs and draw 3.
Yeah, you played that a few times, and that was, I mean, in essence, she's costing you 1 because the other 2, 1 was free, 1 you got the ingenuity pretty early, so it
Yeah,
was basically free. So you were just having to spend 1 card.
yeah, and it kind of flowed pretty good this time. So out of all the Spider-Man decks I've played, this has been one of the better experiences. Um, I think it's also scenario as well because Spider-Man is notorious for being a terrible thwarter because his only thwart is spider tracers, and you have to have a minion and you have to defeat them.
Yeah, we picked, in my opinion, at least for that first wave, the 2 worst player specific thwart cards.
Yes.
Because, like, Thor's, you've got to go dig for a minion. So you're getting a minion out. Yes, it does benefit him to potentially drawing 2 cards, but you're putting out an extra thing to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And you're
You only
removing 3
remove
threat for
3.
0 cost, which is nice. But there's just a lot of extra baggage that comes along with it. And then, like you
Yeah.
said, if you're playing a game with like 1 or 2 minions total for the whole deck, your spider tracers are just trash. They're just resources,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
his
And that,
only card. And then everything else in his deck, unless you build an aspect toward him, is a 1 thwart basic action.
oh, yeah. Yeah. They are terrible thwarters. But it ended up working good in this case because I used the spider tracer probably maybe 3 times. Um,
Yeah, because like you said, the scenario really lent itself to that.
yes, yeah, exactly. And so it,
And
it
and I could contribute as Thor because you could throw it on the minion, then I could just lop him next to the head and
yeah,
get the double whammy of getting rid of a minion and getting rid of some thread.
yeah. But it definitely, this deck was one of the better ones for me in my experiences with Spider-Man because most of the time when I've played him, he seems very counterproductive. Um, and how his deck works, and that's been one of the just most frustrating things about him. Because he has, other than his basic deck, he only has 1 card that does damage, his swinging web kick, and it's super expensive, and it's just 8 damage, and that's it. So when you get it, you're like, I gotta hit the villain with this, but yeah, you can't. You got, say in our case, you have minions in front of it, and you got to get rid of them.
Yeah, and some
And
of those have guard, so you couldn't even use it anyways. All the
yeah,
thralls have guard.
yeah. So it was, in the past. It's been so frustrating to play him and just things never quite work. Like one of the most frustrating things is his alter ego ability, which is it's a free resource, sweet, but to get that you have to go to alter ego, and he's terrible at thwarting, so it's like counterproductive of what are you doing? Yeah, you want that. It's like he wants to flip down to get those bonuses, but he can't, because if he does, he's gonna thread out.
Yeah, he does have webbed up, but it's so expensive that most players probably don't play it very often. There's very few like cases where you're like, I'm gonna play this for fun. It's like, oh my gosh, I have to play this because I need a little breather. It's the only way that I don't flip down and scheme out or something.
Yeah, yeah. It's it is a good card in the aspect of what it does, but yeah, it's for 4 costs. It's so hard to play. I mean, and when you do, you're like, oh sweet, like this is helpful, but spending your whole hand essentially for it is not great. And
Yeah,
he does have his web shooters, which are by all means great, other than they're just limited, but they're cheap. You get them out, they're wilds, great. They're good cards. So that helps with some of that cost.
yeah. Web shooters, I like them overall. I think players can get lax in accidentally playing them in like alter ego.
Yeah. I know I've made the mistake.
Sure.
Thankfully, it's you can easily fix it just by
Yeah.
flipping. But
Yeah. But that they go away and there's no like recursion of them, which kind of stinks. I would almost have rather seen some way of like recharging them with like web shooter fluid tokens ability or something.
yeah, my so me being someone that likes board games and in designing, my thought process is exactly what you said. It would have been better if the spider web shooters were more integrated within his cards.
Right.
So like swinging web kick, it's a 2 cost that deals 5 damage. But if you paid with it with your web
Mm,
shooter, it's 8 damage, or something like that.
right.
Or you could do backflip. It's 0 cost, or I don't know if that would work. We can say enhanced spider sense. So that's the one where you can discard or prevent a when revealed. You could do it where it's when a treachery card is revealed from the encounter deck, cancel its when reveal effects, draw another card. But if you pay for it with the web shooter, it cancels it completely, or
Right.
something along those lines, where it's more integrated within his character and allows for more, I guess, more fun.
Yeah, because when I think of Spider-Man, I think of him shooting webs and webbing up the bad guy, or doing this and that, and yeah. I mean, I like Spider-Man, like you said, he's one of my favorite characters, but I just don't feel like his player kit is. I don't feel like I'm playing as Spider-Man sometimes. To me,
Yeah,
that a
yeah,
good character is like, I feel like I'm being that character, and the current state of Spider-Man, I just don't. I'm not there.
yeah. I totally agree. He's. It feels like he was designed to be the generic hero that someone would be like, "Oh, I'll play Spider-Man," and it's just like, okay, so I can do this cool card, or this cool card, or this cool card, but really doesn't feel like you're spinning webs around your opponents. So
Yeah, I will
I
say, you used backflip a couple times, and you did use the spider sense. I think for a That one's nice because it doesn't specify you. It's just a card, and we were able to prevent a Shadows of the Past one time, which was nice.
Yeah, like I said, like his individual cards, if you like pull it out, like Black Cat, it's a one attack with no consequential damage. Great. Backflip, great. Enhanced Spidey Sense, great. Web Kick, in theory, great, I guess. But when you, to me, when you put them all together, it just doesn't flow as well. It just doesn't. It's never felt right to me, and I hate saying that.
Yep.
With all that said, though, I think players should still visit Spider-Man. I think the new card pool is still opening options, and of course the whole Spider-Verse that came out provided a lot of options for deck builds with Spider-Man. That is one thing. He's an Avenger, not a Web Warrior, so you have to make him into a Web Warrior. But those decks are definitely a possibility, and there's just good cards that can help him overcome his weaknesses and help make those good cards that he has flow a little bit better.
Yep, definitely.
So,
all right. Anything else?
I think I'm good. Yeah, it was a good learning experience from that first one, and then adapting and having a fun game on the second one. So,
Yep.
Definitely all three of these are ones that people should revisit.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. All these characters we talked about, villain and heroes, are definitely something to. If you haven't touched them in a while, go back and try them out. I think my last thing is stage 2. Spoiler alert. When you go to stage 2 on the Green Goblin, he gives you those 2 encounter cards. So you're gonna have at least in our game, 3 apiece. That's always pretty intense.
Well, I think in that particular game, when we flipped them, I also already had like a deck out encounter card, and then we got another one. So I think we revealed like 7+ encounter cards that round.
Yeah, because I think I had one that was like, do this, and if you whiff, it gains surge, and I whiffed.
Yeah. Thankfully, I think majority of them were minions that we were able to dispatch. At that point, we were pretty set up. So, but yes, Mutagen Formula Stage 3. Oh, geez.
Yeah, we played standard, by the way.
Yes, we played standard. When we did the expert one, I remember we had to like prepare for that game to start off on 2 and then move into 3. That was a challenge.
Yeah, that's some fun because he likes to attack you multiple times.
Yeah. He was being a Ronin before Ronin.
Right.
When you played expert him.
Yep. All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode of Champion Checkup. If you have a champion or villain from that first core box or first wave that you want us to take a look at, revisit, maybe give us a kind of a scenario, what aspect or a certain card within an aspect you want us to try and build around, give us that idea and challenge. We'll see what we can come up with. You can let us know those ideas by emailing us at marvelchampionspod@gmail.com. And as always, we appreciate you listening to us. Ryan, any final send-off?
Nope.
Sweet.
Still working on my
it.
catchphrase.
Good, strong work. All right. Well, I will wrap us up then and tell you that if you want to go from a chump to a champ, listen to the Marvel Champions podcast. See ya.
See ya.